Tell and Rody. Don't tell and Rody. Everybody's dead.
Hey everyone, in this video I wanted to make a video comparing two different types of thermal paste and what you should look out for when you're buying a thermal paste to replace thermal paste, whether it's in your console or in your PC. Now there are thousands of different types of thermal paste that a lot of you may have ever tried or not tried, and if you're a first time user trying to figure out what's the best thermal paste for you, especially to keep everything running smoothly. Now, there are different types of thermal paste that does the job, and some that do a terrible job that it makes your system sound like a vacuum. And I've had that actually a problem earlier this week, and I actually because I wanted to go the cheaper way, so I just realized that cheaper way is not the way it's gonna cut it anymore. So yeah, so I'm going to compare the cheap version to compare to the expensive version, and hopefully it can help you decide which is best. Now, this one is a Series 7 thermal paste. It's a Prototype X, but it sounds really cool. But it really is a cheap alternative of a thermal paste. And we have the Arctic Silver 5 thermal paste, which is a high density thermal paste, and it's pretty good. I really like this thermal paste. But there are so many options out there, and we all want to know which one's the best for your system. Now, I actually have a PS4 Pro, a PC, actually two PS4s, a PS4 Fat and PS4 Pro. We also have a PC that uses a lot of heat, produces a lot of heat, especially our PS4 Pro 2, and we want them to be able to last very long. The problem is that there are fundamentals we need to take account for when it comes to looking for thermal paste. The first thing is that you need to have it to be non-conductive. This means that even if the thermal paste goes over the die, whether the CPU or GPU is, and it touches the capacitors, it won't affect or short circuit any kind of electrical components as it touches it. So that's very good. You want to make sure that it's that's not conductive, so it doesn't harm your system when you do power it on. The second thing is that consistency. There's a lot of thermal paste out there that try to advertise that they have really good consistency. It's really good. It can bring temperatures down. Don't believe that. Sometimes you have to do more research than what you can, and sometimes it can lead you into holes that you won't be able to recover from. Because you already went down a hole. But we also need to be very aware about its density. Thermal paste comes in different various of types of density, and if you don't know what density I'm talking about thickness of the thermal paste, of how the texture is. The thicker the texture, the better there is. The less thicker the texture, the horrible it is, because it is transferring heat, but it's not helping. It's making it worse than what it is, and it's not really helping at all. So just keep that in mind. So after all those fundamentals, we need to consider which are the options. So I have two thermal pastes here, Arctic Silver 5 and the Prototype X Series 7 thermal paste. And they look both premium. As you can see, they look very premium. You see one's more premium than the other. But what are the difference between this one and this one? This one is the lower quality paste. This one's the one that caused my PS4 Pro to sound like a vacuum. And I would stay away from this one, simply for the factor is that when I removed to replace it with this bad boy, it looked terrible. The thermal paste that I placed on the CPU went up and stuck up to the roof. There wasn't enough coverage around the CPU to be able to transfer heat from one end to another. Everything was stuck onto the heat sink, and I didn't really like that because I knew that. So I had that problem before where it will try to transfer heat but overheat in the end. And overall, I know I got it correctly done, but this thermal paste didn't do its job by keeping the temperatures down and as well transferring heat very efficiently. So it made my PS4 sound like a vacuum. Now, This one actually cost me $3.25. This is the cheaper kind. It has a very low density, so it's not very thick. It's more of a. It feels like melted. It looks like something melted, and they put it into like a small thin texture that doesn't look, thick. And this is the Arctic Silver 5. This actually cost me almost. I think it cost me like $8. $8 or $5. I think $5 mostly. You can find these for $5 on eBay. And this one cost me actually was more expensive, but it was worth it because it not only that it is, but it's a very, very thick paste. I don't know if the camera can focus right in there, but it's not going to focus. But it's very thick, and the good thing about this thermal paste is not very conductive. It's not conductive, so it can transfer heat, but it's not going to touch. It's not going to harm any components it touches around it. So that's really good. So if you're looking to replace your thermal paste on your console or your PC, I would highly recommend you using the Arctic Silver 5. Use this for any kind of thing, any kind of application, regardless if it's a PC or a console, because in the end, this will save you. This will save your life. This will save your console's or PC's life, in per se, not your life, but you know what I'm talking about. And the great thing about this is that ever since I reapplied this to my PS4, I can still hear the fan, but the fan doesn't sound like a vacuum, and that's what I really, really like. Most majority of the time when I played Modern Warfare or a high-intensive game, the fan would kick in when I used this thermal paste. And the major problem why this is happening is simple because since the thermal paste isn't a very thick thermal paste, it's not transferring heat very efficiently. So there are gaps in the thermal paste that are preventing the heat to transfer from the CPU and GPU to the heatsink. And this is just causing a huge issue. Yes, it does transfer heat, but not efficiently. So it makes the fan spin up really, really fast. It makes your PS4 or console or whatever you like a disaster. And you are very worried about it because you never heard your PS4 sound like a vacuum before. Now, I personally say that if your PS4 is sounding like a vacuum and you haven't ever replaced the thermal paste, I would highly recommend you to go ahead, purchase this. If you guys want a link to this, I'll have a link in the description. You guys could definitely buy one yourself. And if you are in the area of Derby, don't hesitate to ask me for my email. You can hit me up, and I'll gladly replace your thermal paste for a very small fee. And the max I go is $50 per repair. So if you guys are in the area, then great, you guys can do it. I charge for labor. $50 is just for labor and the repair, so I don't charge you any extra for that. Because I pay this with my own money. It's really not expensive, but the $50 helps me because I spent a lot of time trying to replace these. And the PS4 Pro, oh my god, it took me almost an hour to replace everything. If you guys do want to as well bring down more of the temperatures for your PS4 Pro or PS4, spend a little bit more money on thermal pads, because thermal pads, what they do is they do the same thing as thermal paste does, except without being liquidy. You can't use it to use it as a replacement for your CPU because your CPU gets much more harder, and the thermal paste can't keep up transferring all that heat all at once while you're using the console. So you don't want to do that. But what the thermal pads are for, they're for you can replace the old thermal pads on the RAM chips. You can add additional thermal pads to every single other chip, and it'll keep it cool as much as possible. And I've seen a major improvement in my games. Not in like FPS, but I see them less lag or when I launched them, and they loaded real fast because of it. But beyond that, that's pretty much it. But I wouldn't recommend you trying to spend less money as possible just to get thermal paste to replace your console. I would highly suggest going for a $5 or $8 one, but I would highly recommend the Arctic Silver 5. If you're interested in liquid metal, I would do research on it before you use it, because liquid metal is conductive. It is a conductive thermal paste. It's something that if it goes anywhere around on any part of the chip, it can fry your console or PC. You don't want that happening. So if you don't want to deal with that and you want to do the safe way, go with the Arctic Silver 5. It's going to save you a lot of money, and it's very thick, so it's going to transfer heat very, very well, and your console will thank you for it. Even if it can't speak words, it will show you when you use it. Other than that, that's pretty much I have for this video. This is just a very, very simple video. I didn't want to make it very complicated. But if you guys want to buy one of these, I'll have a link in the description. You guys can definitely check out. And I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys are new to the channel or just are a recurring subscriber, just keep in mind, after 90 days, I will be reverting my channel back to Cyber Gaming Studios. I would try Cyber Development, but I don't feel that I have when I have Cyber Gaming Studios, and I felt that, I feel that my channel, now people know that I changed my name. So if you're watching this video and you got to this part, just be aware that I have changed my name to Cyber Development, and we're still Cyber Gaming Studios. I'm just trying out something for 90 days and see how it works and see if it grows on me. If it doesn't, then I'm switching back to Cyber Gaming Studios, and you'll know the rest. Either way, I hope you guys did enjoy. Please leave a like on this video, subscribe, hit that bell notification icon so you can get every notification as possible, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.